Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, good everything to all my listeners. Thank you for showing up once again. It is that time of the day and every other Thursday of the month. So let me just put my quick disclaimer out there. I am Jason Weiss. I am both a consultant and an attorney. However, everything you hear today is not legal advice. I'll change it around. Nothing discussed today constitutes legal advice. Should you need legal advice, financial advice, or family law advice, that's a hint as to what today's show is going to be about, consult an attorney directly. You have both myself and Elle here today. And although we are both practicing attorneys, neither one of us are offering any type of legal advice. So enjoy, listen, hear scenarios, and rely on nothing, especially that I say, because I know nothing, but don't rely on legal advice from Elle, but check her out and check out what she does. Elle is an attorney who's been practicing for about 20 years in all family law matters, and she is a court-appointed guardian ad litem, which we'll talk about that. She has a deep commitment to children and families. She has reports. She cares about the child. And the only thing I remember from law school is best interests of the child. So that means that she knows what she's talking about. She's also the education coordinator for OurFamilyWizard, which we will talk about a little bit more because that's where I really want to spend the time. I want to find out what that is. And when she is not practicing law, she spends time skiing with her family, friends, and little ones. And she is based in Pittsburgh, so she can do some skiing, but I'm sure she goes other places to ski. So without further ado, I want to introduce Elle Barr, and she is my esteemed guest today. And I'm so excited to have you here because I want to know all about you, but I really want to know all about what Our Family Wizard is. If I could say it right, it'd be great. Our Family Wizard. So Elle, a quick introduction about yourself, and then let's just roll right into what the heck is Our Family Wizard.
You got it. Thank you for the very kind intro. I'm thrilled to be here today with you. As you mentioned, I am a family law attorney. I've been practicing for a little over 20 years. I'm based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but I'm licensed to practice in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. At this point in my career, the only law that I'm practicing is GAL work. So I will only take court appointments to represent children in high conflict divorce cases and children in dependency matters. So those are children where there are abuse and neglect allegations. And in addition,
for our listeners that aren't attorneys or familiar, GAL stands for guardian ad litem. Can you break it down for simple terms for people like me who only took family law one time in law school? Exactly what is a GAL or a guardian ad litem and what your role is? And, because there's always questions that come up, and I'll start asking these, but what is the general definition of a guardian ad litem? That's the best way to start.
Yes, that's a great question. The perfect place to start. So guardian ad litem, it is a court-appointed role. People say GAL or GAL. They use the acronym. Litem actually means lawsuit. It's a Latin word, and going to law school, you learn a lot of Latin. And so guardian ad litem, you are the eyes and ears of the court. So a guardian ad litem is requested or appointed in a custody matter, and it signifies that there is a major or significant disagreements between the parties as to what is in the best interest of the child or the children. And at that point, the court wants a trusted outside opinion. So the role of guardian ad litem is to serve as that third party neutral, the arm of the court, to conduct a thorough and comprehensive investigation into the facts, the circumstances, the issues relevant to the matter, and to report back to the court as to what is in the best interest of this child or children.
Now, I started the show off like I start every show off, by saying this is not legal advice and nothing here constitutes legal advice. So when you are appointed by the court, are you responsible, or is the court your client, or is the child your client? Who's your actual client?
Also, great question. I am an arm of the court, so I'm reporting back to the judge. My client is the child. I'm not team mom. I'm not team dad. I am team family, there for the child. So in every state, there's a best interest statute. So in Pennsylvania, for example, our best interest statute has 16 factors. So when I'm going out, I'm conducting my investigative work. What I'm really thinking in the back of my mind are those 16 factors. And one factor is the well-reasoned preference of the child. So I interview all the parties. I interview the child. I interview the child at mom's house, dad's house. If it's the same sex couple, at dad's house and then the other dad's house. I interview the child in a neutral place as well. And then I report back to the court. I go through each of the factors and I give a recommendation with respect to custody. So people get confused. Oh, did mom hire you? Did dad hire you? No, I'm not hired by either of the parents. The parents can request that the court appoint a guardian ad litem, or the court sua sponte, again, throwing out the Latin again, on their own. The judge can appoint a guardian ad litem to represent the child.
Now, what happens if the child tells you something that you find troubling? And I'm going to bring that into three categories: something troubling about a parent, and then something troubling, or maybe two categories: something troubling about a parent. You know, mom doesn't pick me up from school, or dad likes to have a beer while he's driving me, something like that, which I know the answer to that, but I want to hear it anyway. And then the second question, which is, let's just say it's a 15-year-old boy and he's like, yeah, I love going under the bleachers, after football practice and smoking a joint. So let's start with, you hear something troubling about mom or dad from the child.
If the child reports something troubling and it rises to the level where I would need to call in a child line, that's what it's called in Pennsylvania, I'm a mandated reporter. So if there are concerns for the health, welfare, safety of this child, I am required by statute to call it into our hotline. And I know every single state has their own 1-800 number hotline. So if that happens, yes, I'm calling it in. If the child's reporting to me, like you said, dad's driving me around with a beer in his hand and he's intoxicated and, I'm scared, that's getting called in immediately. Child Protective Services gets involved. They investigate, they make their findings. And then a lot of times in those cases, there's the overlap. So I'm representing the child in the high conflict divorce case, and then I get pulled into the dependency matter, but they'll have another, in the dependency matter, there'll be another GAL appointed. You can't represent the child in both cases. And then if it's a concern, if it's something troubling, but not something that's going to impact their health, their safety, or their well-being, I document. And oftentimes, if it's relevant to my report, if it relates to one of the recommendations, let's say it's about a sibling or it's about visits with extended family, and that's related to one of the best interest factors, I'll include that when I'm drafting my report, that on this date, when I went out to meet the child at this location, the child disclosed to me the following. This is relevant because X, Y, and Z.
Gotcha.
Now, if the child tells me something troubling about themselves, like,
smoking pot after school.
Right. It depends on the age. It depends on the circuit. Attorneys love to say it depends. So it's all fact specific. But if we've got a 17-year-old going into their senior year, he's smoking a joint at a football game on a Friday night, I'm not reporting that to anyone. If it's a serious substance abuse issue, and I think this child's at risk and this child's depressed and they're using, marijuana, and this is the gateway drug to other issues, yeah, I'm going to address it right then and there. But if it's just, a joint at a random football game. No, that's not getting reported. That's not going into my report. I'm not there to make the child look bad or to point the finger at the child. I'm there appointed because the parents are in conflict and the child needs to have a decision made with respect to where the child is going to live and how he or she is going to spend his or her time.
Right. And I guess that's important too, because you want the child to be able to open up to you. So like, I know I work with a coach, I work with a couple of coaches, and every once in a while I'll throw my coaching session over to one of my kids. I have a 17 and a 14-year-old, and I tell my kids and I tell my coach, I tell them all together. I said, unless you think something is going on that, I need to be concerned about as a parent, I don't want to know. It's like, it's all between you. If my son has a new girlfriend, if my daughter has a friend at school she doesn't like anymore, I don't care. It's not my problem. But, God forbid, my son tells you, he's flunking in school, I want to know, that type of thing. So it's important, I guess, for you to have the trust of the child as well. Now, are there age groups? I'm assuming majority age in Pittsburgh is 18. What's the youngest that you will work with?
I get appointed from infants up until 17 and 11 months. So during any of that time period, if there is a dispute and there's an application filed with the court, I have a case that reopened from 2006. The girl is 16 years old now. She is 16. She was a baby when this started. So I've been following this family for years, and they're on OurFamilyWizard, which is really interesting because we keep all the communications, even if they stop using the platform. The co-parenting app has all the communications going back to when they first got on, and they were originally communicating when OurFamilyWizard was a website. So they were logging in and sending messages to each other. There were no apps at the time when they started. So this case, for example, she's going to be finished with high school relatively soon. I mean, at this point, it's just the parents are egging each other on. I think it's just it's really the conflict between the parents. It's not even this girl anymore. She chooses where she wants to sleep and where she wants to spend her time.
You mentioned My Family Wizard. I got it right that time. And that it was a website and now it's an app. So perfect segue, even though I don't use the word perfect. So I'd have to delete that out. Phenomenal segue. Let's get into that. What is My Family Wizard? Where can you find it and what's it all about?
Great question. OurFamilyWizard, it's an app and a website. I am the education coordinator for the company. And what the platform does, either through the app or on the website, it provides co-parents with all the tools that they need for raising children in two separate homes. So as a family law attorney, what I see every single day and as a guardian ad litem for children who are put in the middle of conflict is two parents who are unprepared, emotionally overwhelmed, and uncertain as to how to manage all the complexities and all the responsibilities that come with shared parenting. So the platform was very thoughtfully created. It has been expanded. It's been updated over the years, and it has every single tool you could possibly imagine: messaging, artificial intelligence to assist with that messaging, scheduling, calendaring, and even expenses. There's an expense log where parents can request reimbursements, track expenses, and even transfer funds for shared child expenses. It's an unbelievable, invaluable resource for families going through a divorce and separation, and for the family law practitioners who are providing support to the family.
What about like medical records? Is that uploaded, or are there HIPAA problems with that? HIPAA meaning the healthcare independent, I don't know, whatever it is. But everybody knows what HIPAA is. It's that big HIPAA thing. But what about HIPAA? Do they have medical records on that app as well?
We do. So there's 6 main features. There's the messaging, there's journal, there is an expense log, there is the calls feature where parents can now do audio and video calls. And we have an information bank. Our information bank is where parents can share, upload, and store all the relevant and important information related to their children and to the family. The question does come up, oh, am I going to violate HIPAA? Am I allowed to upload the COVID vaccination cards, the medical records? There is no issue. We are not considered a covered provider. We're not a hospital. We're not medical providers. So there are no HIPAA violations. And we have families that are sharing every record under the sun. A lot of times in high conflict divorce cases, there's a gatekeeper parent, and that gatekeeper, I don't want to generalize, but let's just say it's mom. Mom has all the educational records, all the medical records, all the addresses, telephone numbers of all of the babysitters, all the tutors. What we recommend in that situation when there's a gatekeeper is that that parent upload all the information into the info bank so that they could share it with the co-parent. And what we know is that streamlines co-parenting. It helps the parents so they don't have to reopen the dialogue every time they need information, whether it's what size shoe or what blood type or who's the teacher or do you have a copy of the COVID vaccination card? Everything is right there at their fingertips from the information bank.
So HIPAA is Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. I knew it was something, and it has to do with privacy. And one of the things that's great is the OurFamilyWizard seems that it would apply to all families. It could be mom and dad are best of friends. They just don't want to be married anymore, and all decisions with the kids, and they live down the street from each other. But like you said, I'm stuck. Mom is not available. I need to know who the go-to babysitter is. I know it's, Steve, but I don't remember Steve's phone number. And you go into the app and you look. And you also have situations where it's mom and dad want nothing to do with each other. Zero. They don't even wave to each other when they drop off at the mutual spots. And if they do, they need a guardian ad litem there. They need everything. So you could just go in and you could check and you could be like, oh, Mary has field day at school and, mom's going to be attending. Maybe I don't want to be there because I don't want to deal with mom or, all that kind of stuff. Now, does it help with maybe the parents as well? Like, I know, knock wood, I've been married almost 25 years now. And I don't have to remember that I'm married. I just got to do the math sometimes. All that. I know my anniversary date. That's no problem. But I know that a lot of times they don't want to be in the same spot. They don't want to be there. So is that one of the features on a calendar? It could be like, my son's lacrosse game, his mother's going, so I won't be there. And it'll say like mom's attending, or it'll say like, dad wants to go to this one. Are those options there as well?
Yeah, you should come join some of our development team meetings. But we have, as I stated, the platform has been updated and expanded, and the calendar was very carefully and thoughtfully designed for co-parents with that in mind, with high conflict situations where parents may not necessarily want to be with each other at a sports game. So when an event is added to the calendar, the event, it's not just like when you put an event onto your Outlook or onto your Google Calendar. There are all these fields that are filled out, and the platform is color coded. So each parent has a color, each child has a color. If there's third parties on the account, grandma, grandpa, babysitter, nanny, they each have a color. So it's an interactive platform. So when an event gets put onto the calendar, let's say it's the lacrosse practice, and mom really doesn't want to be there if dad's going to be there, but mom has to do the pickup because it's mom's night, because they're doing a 2-5-5-2 schedule, and it's Monday. So Monday and Tuesdays are mom, Wednesday and Thursdays are dad, and then they switch every other weekend. That's the 2-5-5-2.
Okay.
So mom knows we've got the lacrosse game. I'm going to have to, the pickup is there. It's her color for pickup. So what she could do is on the calendar, on this shared calendar, there's a note section. So mom can put a note. And the children, there are children accounts as well. So children have limited access. They could see the shared calendar, the shared events and holidays that get put on along with the parenting schedule. They could see shared journal entries, and they could see messages that are sent directly to them. And the app has push notifications. So any action taken by a parent, by a child, by a third party on the platform, the notification is sent to everybody. So the children will see if an event is added, this lacrosse is added, and mom adds a note saying, I will be there for pickup. I will be in the parking lot. I will be in spot number, blah, blah, blah. The child will know. The family will all be in the know. And this is what really helps streamline the co-parenting relationship and makes things healthy for the family.
Now, where can they find this app?
So they could go, if they have an iPhone, they could go into the App Store. If they have an Android, they could go into the Google Play Store. If they want to go on their laptop or they're on a desktop, they could type in www.OurFamilyWizard.com. When they get onto the homepage or when they download the app, they'll see a little blurb about what the platform provides, the different features and tools for co-parents, and other information that's important for getting started, and a link they could click to get them to sign up.
And is there a charge for the app, a charge for the use, a charge? How does that work?
Yes. So there is a fee. It's a subscription-based service. The company is mission-based. It's one of the many reasons I'm with the company. They truly care about children and families. So the cost for the platform is $110 per year per parent. There's no cost for the children, no cost for third parties, no costs for guardian ad litems or attorneys who are connected to the account. So I could go in, I'm connected to dozens of families. So I could just jump in from account to account to account, see what's going on in each of my families. For parents, if they can't afford that $110, they fill out a fee waiver form. They submit it to our customer service. And if they put in the reasoning, whether, it could be a dad. Let's say it's a dad, he's got 4 kids, but he's making $50,000, but he is literally just getting by, living in his mom's basement, paying his child support and covering all the other bills. We're going to give that dad a fee waiver. We're not going to have him pay the $110.
Right. Because otherwise you're looking at $9.18 a month, something like that.
$8.50 a month.
Yeah. $8.50 a month. Yeah. So, it's very doable.
It
but
is.
Again, if you can't afford that and then you could get your fee waiver, or you could get a scholarship, or you could get something. But you mentioned something as a guardian ad litem. Do they have to add you to the account, or the court adds you, or because you, Elle, are a guardian ad litem, are you able to go in and look on any, or do you need permission from the parents, the courts? How would that work? Because I could hear people saying, oh, that sounds great, but what about if I don't want a guardian? What if I don't want this? What if I don't want her in? Can I block it because I only want it to be, me, my ex, and the kids?
Right. And that's a great question. So professionals, any professional who's working with a family on the platform, whether they're the guardian ad litem, the counsel for the parent, they are a mental health pro, they're a family therapist, they're a co-parenting therapist, any professional can create a pro account and link up to the family. They do need to get access granted. So the parents will get an email notification letting them know, for example, I'm the GAL assigned to the case and I would like access. They'll get an email saying, Attorney Elle Barr has requested access and permission to oversee and view your account. They'll have to click on that and provide me with access. I've had cases where I'm court appointed and the parents don't grant they ignore the request. I do it, 2, 3 times. I give them the chance. And if they don't give me access, then I file an application with the court. I file a motion and I have the court order them to give me access. I have that court order. I work for the company, so it's a lot easier for me because I could just give it over to customer service internally. But if this happens to a guardian ad litem who is not connected to OurFamilyWizard as an employee, they send the court over to customer service, and customer service on the back end will link up the attorney to the account.
Now, when you're court appointed, does that mean that mom and dad have to split your fee? Does the court pay your fee? Do you do it for free? How does that work when you are the guardian ad litem?
And that question comes up a lot. I do a ton of pro bono work. When I take court appointments for dependency cases, those are the cases where children are abused and neglected. I do those for the most part, pro bono or very, very low bono.
And just so everybody who's listening, who's not lawyers, pro bono means she's doing it out of the kindness of her heart for no charge. Low bono, as she said, it would mean that she's taking her normal rate of X amount of dollars and is reducing it out of courtesy or because she wants to. And I like that term, low bono. I haven't used that. I usually say I offer a scholarship or some sort of a grant to my clients, but I like yours, low bono. Go patent, not patent, go trademark that term.
I should. And it's really nice because when I do low bono cases, I really only charge for the substantive work, for drafting the report. I'm not charging for every text message and every phone call and every email that gets sent out, because it adds up, those 0.1s, the 0.2s. So in my low bono cases, it's nominal. On a high conflict custody case where I know, dad's a heart surgeon and mom's an attorney, I'm charging my hourly rate. The court appoints me. The order outlines how I should be paid. And generally the split is however they're splitting expenses. So if they're 30-70, if they're 50-50 for all their expenses related to the children, that's generally how the court will order them to split my fee.
Now, will the court come up with a list of, like, I know when I have a court appointed mediator, right? There's statutory amounts. I think they're like $250 an hour. When I'm a mediator myself, I'm $500 an hour. So when you are a guardian ad litem appointed by the court, do they let mom and dad know, hey, she's $500 an hour and you're each going to be responsible for $250? Or is your rate basically adjusted by what the court says? Like, how is that determined?
So where I practice in Pennsylvania, in Allegheny County, the rate is set by the court. It's actually set by the county. So they have that set rate. It's the way it's split, which is decided by the judge. So the judge is going to split it based on the parents, on their how they are doing.
So statutorily, I'm just going to throw out a number. It's $300 an hour, and the court says it's a 75-25 split between mom and dad. Mom's the big breadwinner, dad is not. So mom's going to pay. So I got it. Okay. And then are you allowed to do a guardian ad litem privately? Like if mom and dad both know you because, they've seen you on the ski slopes and they know you're a great person and you're friends with them both. And they're like, our daughter knows you. She trusts you. We want you to be the intermediary. Is that something that you're ethically and more? No, you're saying no.
No, our state statute defines the role of guardian ad litem, and that is not within the scope of the role. So if parents want something similar to a guardian ad litem, I could provide support in other ways. For friends and for family, I'm always there to lend a hand, to be a sounding board.
Or you could tell both mom and dad to each pony up the $110 for the year, get on OurFamilyWizard.com. And then what you could do is you could just go in and you can monitor everything, and you will charge them a reduced fee of $600 an hour, split between mom and dad, 75-25. See, I'm plugging it. Here we go. Let's get Our Family Wizard. Let's get you making money, and all that good stuff. But what has impressed me the most is your passion for it. Like, you could see it's not forced. You could see it's not like, oh yes, I have a big case. And no, this is like, I like this program. It works. We're constantly tweaking it and checking it out. I checked out the website beforehand. It's pretty cool. Even someone who's not majorly tech savvy can get into it. And if you have a young kid, probably anywhere between 4 and 10, he or she can teach you how to use the app because they'll know how. And it seems, pretty cool. And it's something that you want to do. What are other things that, all right, I'm going to sign up for the app. Are there like mandatory parenting courses or hints and tricks? And not, I don't mean tricks, but like hints and training, like how to be a better mom, how to be a better dad, how to be a better spouse going through a divorce. Are there like, educational courses and other resources available through the app?
Not through the actual app when the parents are logged in on their phone. But if parents go to the website, we have a resource page, and our resource page has endless articles, blog posts, links, research studies, tips and tricks, videos, even instructional videos on how to best use the app, best practices. I mean, there's endless information on the website under our resource page. I personally draft the custody blogs for the company. So if parents have any questions about what is the best parenting schedule, what's the difference between a 223 and a 2552 and a week on, week off with midweek visit and every other week, they go into these custody blogs, they read about the different parenting schedules. It gives them insight into, what would work best for their family. So the platform, OurFamilyWizard, it's much more than just a communication tool. It has endless resources for families and for family law practitioners so that they can best serve their clients.
Now, one of the things I noticed when I checked out the website, I admittedly don't have the app, but I did check out the website. It was the messaging app. So it looks like that, mom and dad or child or whatever, they could send a message saying, hey, mom and dad, I'm starring in the school play. And, I want you both to come. So then mom and dad can, each get their invitation. They're both aware of everything. They both know what's going on. And this might be outside of, the realm of who knows, but are those communications considered, I guess, is there any type of privilege, any type of privacy, or is it like, hey, mom, dad, and child, just know that whatever you put there, the court can see, the world could see, they're not married, so there's no spousal and there's no parent. So I guess there's no privilege, right?
Well, there's the parent-child privilege.
Oh, there is?
There is. Under the evidence rules, there's, if they're married, they have the spousal privilege, but yes. I'm almost 100% sure there's a parent-child privilege as well. I'd have to go back to my Barbary review books from like 1999 and pull that up. But I'm pretty sure there is a parent-child privilege in certain circumstances. When children are on the OurFamilyWizard account, their access to the messaging, it's very, very limited. So they can't see the messages that are going back and forth between mom and dad, but they can send messages to mom and dad. Would those messages then be privileged? It's a good question. I'm going to have to do some research and get back to you.
Well, I did a quick search in Florida, and in Florida, where I am, there's a parent-child privilege under a Florida statute. Privilege allows the child and the parent of that child to refuse to disclose and to prevent another from disclosing communications that were intended to be made in confidence between them. So that would mean, let's just say my son, on the app says to me, hey, dad, I'm drunk and I don't want to drive. Come get me. That, and my son's only 17. That's something that should be privileged, right? I don't want the world knowing that, my 17-year-old is drunk. I want my world to know that he was responsible enough to reach out to me to say, hey, I'm drunk. But, and just in case there's any NCAA coaches or schools out there, my son does not drink. He's an athlete, but I'm using it as an example. So you get that privilege. So I guess, I'm sure that's in your disclaimers, all of that.
That's what I'm thinking. And there's probably a waiver when parents.
And if it's not, it will be by the end of this video.
Right. We'll be updating our terms and conditions.
Nothing like having another lawyer look over something to over lawyer it. Like that's the biggest problem. And I guess that's where I wanted to just touch base real quick with between your app and you being the guardian, right? You're the guardian. You're looking out for the best interests of the child, right? You're doing everything for the child. You got these two expensive, high-powered lawyers fighting over stuff. And, I'm sure it's, well, this is better for the child. No, this is better for the child. Like, how did you become a guardian so that truly what's in the best interest of the child? Like, how did you learn that?
I've been doing this my entire life, just negotiating. I'm one of 6 children. I'm right in the number 4. I have 2 younger brothers, 1 older brother, 2 older sisters. So from a very young age, I've always been the one negotiating, the voice of reason, the peacemaker. And growing up, I would always be the one that my dad would look to because I was kind of like the one who would say what the older ones were doing. And then I was sort of the mom to the 2 younger brothers. And he's actually the one who encouraged me and pushed me to go to law school. He said, I think you would be great as a mediator, as a problem solver, as that peacemaker. So I've been doing this a very, very long time. I'm not going to say I always get it 100% right. I'm also, not only did I come from a big family, I have 3 of my own children. There are 19 grandchildren just on my side. I've always been surrounded by a lot of children. In college, I thought I was going to be a teacher. So I was an early childhood education major. I did my student teacher. I've been a camp counselor my whole life. Everything has always been centered around like children and caring for families. And so this is all I've ever done. And when I get assigned a case, I take it very seriously. I take this role, not to an extreme, but this is a very important role. And I'm making decisions about the lives of children, how they're going to spend their time, who they're going to be with. And so I do a very comprehensive investigation. I reach out to everyone under the sun. So my last report, I just submitted a report, it was 408 pages, no joke. Yeah. So they have
my book right here is not even 408 pages. I told you I was going to plug it. There we go. I got it in. Shit they never taught you in law school, the survival guide to navigating the law. It's not 408 pages like Elle's report. I mean, and I'm not saying this to say thanks or anything like that, but just what I find amazing is that, the passion that's behind it. There are so many of us in the law, myself included, where, hey, I got a discovery dispute. Whoop-de-doo. Hey, I got a pleading due today. Whoop-de-doo. Like, I'll sit here like stone-faced, like I don't care. You're talking about these kids and you're talking about doing, and your whole face like lights up. So lawyers who should read my book and people that are listening and people in general, when I talk about in my book, you need to find something that makes you happy, passionate, show up like it's your first day. You should watch this show again because Elle is talking about all the different things that she does and there's passion. And we can go on, unfortunately, we only have another 5 minutes, but we could go on for hours and hours and hours where she could tell you about all this phenomenal stuff. My biggest question, and so when I graduated law school and I went to the second firm I worked at, I worked for an amazing gentleman who was doing a little bit of family law, and he did it primarily for, the paralegals and the attorneys getting married and all this and all that. I took it so personal. How do you not take all of these like so personally? I understand passion and caring and all of that, but like, how do you not bring it home? How are you like, oh my God, I got to get this, this child out of this situation. Mom and dad are both, nuts, crazy, harm. Like, how do you separate the wanting to do the right thing and like closing up your laptop at 7:00 at night and enjoying your own kids?
It's hard. That's honestly my work-life balance is my biggest challenge right now because I don't shut it. Like I never shut off my phone. Yeah. And the teenagers, especially, they have my cell phone number. They text message me. They Snapchat me when they want it deleted, even though I screenshot it and they see that I've screenshotted their message. Yeah. It's really, really hard to shut it off. And when I go to bed at night, even when I put my head down on my pillow, I'm thinking about my own children, my family, but I'm also thinking about all these children that I'm representing. And I'm hoping that I'm making the right recommendations and that I am serving their best interest and that the judges are making the correct decisions so that these kids can be raised to be resilient, happy, confident, safe, and have everything that they deserve. So I feel good at the end of the day. I love this work. This is what I was meant to do, but it is very hard to turn it off.
And that's one of the things I touch about in the book, which I told you I'm going to send you a copy, but it's called The Practice of Law, right? It's not black and white. You do a math problem and the answer is 3. If you don't get 3, you're wrong, right? But this is, you could say, oh my God, I've read Johnny's file. I've met with Johnny 20 times, blah, blah, blah. And Johnny really wants to be in the warmth with mom in Florida. Okay. You don't know, maybe dad was planning to move to Florida. Like you never know. So it is the practice of law. It is putting the best interests of the child always for first and foremost. So we are at almost that 40-minute mark, and I always save my last question for the day to be the hardest. And here we go. Any movie that touches on law, what's your favorite?
Legally Blonde, of course. Elle Woods.
Elle Woods. I had a feeling, but I wasn't sure. I'm a My Cousin Vinny guy.
Okay.
I feel that is, it teaches you so much. Plus, you have Herman Munster as the judge, so you can't get wrong. And for those of you that don't know who Herman Munster is, go Google him. But that's my favorite. So I can't stand Legally Blonde for one reason. She studies for the bar for like a week, and she gets like the LSAT for a week and gets like an almost perfect score. Come on. I studied for months and months and months, and I did fine, but I didn't. So my daughter's watching. She's like, Dad, what'd you get on the LSAT? I'm like, not anywhere near what she got. I got into law school. I did just fine. But that. If it weren't for that, I'd like the movie. So check out OurFamilyWizard.com. Download it, buy it, purchase it. If you're having financial difficulties, apply for a scholarship or a sponsorship or a fee waiver. It is for the best interest of your child. You probably don't even need to be going through a divorce or a separation. It just seems like it's a great app in general for any parent who's living a busy life. That it might be a solution. Get in there, see what you can do. Get with Elle. If you have questions, you can get her at M as in married or Michelle. BARR at OurFamilyWizard.com, or check out OurFamilyWizard.com. Elle, it was such a pleasure. Answered more questions than I knew that I had. And I look forward to sending you a copy of the book and to chatting more, and for you to tell me, hey, Jason, in the book, you missed this whole thing. Let's have a chapter on this. And the answer is going to be awesome. Help me. So thank you, Elle. It was incredible. Stay warm in Pittsburgh. And to everybody else, I'll see you in 2 weeks when we're going to talk about a computer tech company that maybe I need to get Elle with, because it's secure messaging that's encrypted from one end to the other. So there might be some synergy. CC and team, thank you. GoingBoldMedia.com. Thank you as always. I'm Jason Weiss. This is Elle. We'll see you in 2 weeks.